because this film it's a fiction film, but it also has a very documentary approach to it, you know. There's always this dance between fiction and reality.
Hi, Nora.
Hi.
How are you?
Very, very good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to talk to you. I really enjoy watching the Outrun.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Like the cinematography is beautiful, and Saoirse is she's amazing. All her characters are everything that she plays. I think she does so beautiful and amazing. So I'm gonna start like from the beginning. Like you I know that it's based on a book. What was about Amy's book that got your attention on write this script?
Well, it was, you know, such a complex read, to be honest, because, you know, of course it's a story about alcoholism and recovery, but it also is about so much more. It's about family and the inheritance of mental illness. It is about reconnecting with the place and the culture that you come from, where you ran away from, but you know, you can't help it. It shaped you be who you are. And I found it really fascinating. And of course, when I was reading the book, I knew already that Saoirse Ronan was attached to star and produce. And so I thought, you know, this stunning landscape, this amazing actress, like this really complex character is the perfect combination.
Amazing. You mentioned Saoirse was very attached to the project. What do you think that she brought to the project this time around?
Yes. You know, I mean, first of all, as a producer is fantastic because she was involved from the beginning till the end. You know, we could start the creative process very early on. And that's a gift actually, because then you both know the characters so well. It's not like you meet 3 weeks before the shoot and then you figure it out. It's like, no, you have somebody who's really, it's her baby as well. And because the film is about a young woman most of the time in isolation, you know, half the film is just her by herself on a tiny remote island. You need an actress who can pull that off, who has this magical presence of, and there's something about her where, you know, she can brush her teeth and it's interesting. It's somewhat, and it's fascinating to film her. So yeah, I mean, she carries the whole movie on her shoulders in a way, I would say.
Yeah, I think she's amazing. Every character that she plays, she brings so much to the story,
Yeah,
and she can carry the movie by herself. Like
yeah,
it's amazing, amazing
yeah,
what she does. And like you mentioned that you guys filming on location, she always by herself, and I learned that you guys filming in the actual Orkney, I think is the
yeah,
name
yeah,
of
yeah.
the island. And what was like for you to be like on that location, like filming on places that Amy spent her time.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was really bizarre because at first I said, okay, let's film on Orkney, but not in the real farm and not in the real Rose Cottage and not in the real caravan of her dad. But somehow the, you know, things, how they developed, we didn't find any other farm. And then Amy said, Nora, this is the farm I envision in my memory anyways, how I imagine it when I read the script. And so we ended up shooting, like you said, in the real farm where Amy grew up, in the house of her childhood. It was the real caravan of her dad, the real AA meeting place. It was the real Rose Cottage where she wrote the book. And so in the end, it all helped us because this film it's a fiction film, but it also has a very documentary approach to it, you know. There's always this dance between fiction and reality. And so it was a constant balance, and in a way, it helped us be in the real location.
Yeah, I also love it that he used her hair color to show us where she at, which phase of her life she at. You know what I mean? So, what was like that decision was since the beginning. I didn't read Amy's book. I don't know if it was something already on the page over there or something that you guys create to just to set us up. Like,
Yeah, so it all somehow comes from Amy's book. So Amy herself is a person, she changed a lot of hair colors. She expressed herself through fashion. She was always somebody who would experiment with things. She writes something about in the book where about dyeing her eyebrows in
oh my God.
red and then having an allergic reaction and going to the club totally drunk with this, So we took this aspect of her character and then we used it for narration. So we said, okay, the blue stands for Orkney. It's the part of Orkney when she's in London, and sort of the opposite color, the orange, sort of stands for London, and so yeah, it starts from the book, but we transformed it for the storytelling.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I also love the music. I love techno music. And it
Yeah.
was like a decision because you can be like, I don't know, dance music or pop music, but what was like the decision to pick techno music?
Yeah, also it comes from Amy's book again. She was very immersed in a certain club scene of London in the 2010s, that has a very particular sound to it. And some of the tracks we found with our music supervisor, and some of the tracks our composers had to compose because, for example, when she and Dane and when they meet in the club and they kiss for the first time, we knew that we needed a track that we can manipulate because we composed it, that we take layers away, and all of a sudden, in that moment of romance, um, you only hear the bass line very soft or something, that you can't do that with tracks that
Yeah.
you use otherwise. But yeah, it was important to keep that bit of London alive also when she's in Orkney.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit like the decision to add like an animated sequence to the story?
Yeah.
And why was like you brought
Yeah.
that to us?
And again, also that comes from the book. It's very interesting about the book. She's a very nerdy character. You read this book about Orkney and addiction and alcohol and mental health, and then she writes half a page about the physiological process of how a wave breaks,
Yeah, it's
or
crazy.
it's a woman who spends 2 winters by herself and then she's in complete isolation on this tiny island, this tiny house, and she chats with astronauts. I mean, who would do that?
Yeah.
You have to be a very particular personality. And it's almost like she exchanged one addiction for the other. Like she throws herself into this brain world. And I really wanted to preserve that. So we created what I call the nerd layer. We have the Orkney layer and the London layer and the nerd layer. And then in the nerd layer, we thought we can be as free as we want because her brain is that free. It's photographs, it's animatic, it's stock footage, it's documentary, it's whatever we want, as long as it in that moment relates to where is she in her journey and where are we as the audience. That was the challenge, that it's not just, oh, what do the filmmakers like to put in, but something beyond. Yeah.
Yeah. And aside from this challenge that you just mentioned, any other challenge that you have throughout the movie?
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
a lot of
lots.
them.
You know, are the seals coming to the right place? Are the lambs gonna get born in the right moment? How are we gonna film on a tiny island where you can't even get a light truck on? It was a constant. Are we gonna have some wind next week when we want to film the wind scenes? It was a constant challenge in order to adapt to the surrounding. But there also comes a beauty. If you have to be so flexible, then you get rewarded with a lot of unexpected gifts.
Yeah, and then it turned out so beautiful and I really love it. And I think it's like a story about redemption, like they're
Yeah.
like trying second chances and she tried to become a better person, like and
Yeah.
she had this issue with alcohol and we see a lot of people like struggling with that. It's so but it's so beautiful. So Nora, I just want to thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to meet you, and a lot of success
Pleasure.
and keep bringing projects like this.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Cannot
Thank
wait
you.
for your next project. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
If you like to support or continue to support Jana on Camera, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the videos.